An update on possible match plans for Stone Cold versus CM Punk in WWE now that Punk has returned to the company. MJF, we got an update on his injury status and how he plans to not only get through his injury, but also get through future matches and not miss any ring time. An update on who the mystery NXT superstar could be in the upcoming United States Championship #1 Contenders Tournament. John Cena reacts to Randy Orton's return to SmackDown last night, plus an update on Julia Hart's AEW contract status. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. And let's start off talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin versus CM Punk. Now, this is a story that has really gained traction this week, with it being reported by Sean Ross Sapp that actually WWE sources were optimistic about the possibility of doing the long anticipated and awaited and dreamt up dream match between CM Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin now that Punk is back within the WWE fold. Now, an update has emerged on the possibility of a CM Punk vs Stone Cold Steve Austin WWE match, with rumors swirling ahead of next year's WWE WrestleMania 40 premium live event in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, amid speculation about a potential dream match and dream matches for CM Punk following his WWE return, it was reported by Fightful within the last week that some within WWE have been pushing for the possibility of Punk facing off against Steve Austin, to the point that CM Punk had even had discussions about the possibility of facing off against the Texas Rattlesnake. But per Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, Austin has not been approached about this potential bout. Meltzer explained, quote, "As soon as that story came out, I heard from a bunch of people who were pretty close in, and they basically said probably shouldn't be doing that one or worrying about that one." Basically, it's not anything that anyone's talked about to any degree. I mean, it could happen and it makes sense. As of right now, he hasn't been approached. He's not in. I'm not saying he won't be, and that is not their direction. I'm not saying that's like some people thought the same thing you did. Hey, maybe we could do it. I would just say it's premature. I wouldn't say it's never going to happen either. Of course, Austin notably returned to the ring for the first time in 19 years at WrestleMania 38 in 2022 in Dallas, Texas. He defeated Kevin Owens in a street fight in the final match of WrestleMania 38 Saturday. So the possibility then is not completely off the table, but Meltzer is suggesting that talks of Austin facing off against Punk at this point in time are pretty premature. Now, another person's had their say on the possibility of CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in the WWE, and that's one of Austin's former rivals in WWE when he was the co-general manager of Monday Night Raw, Eric Bischoff. And this is what Bischoff has had to say about it. He said, quote, "I could see Steve getting physical, but a match, a 12 or 15 or 18-minute match that requires give and take, I hope Steve's physically in a place where he feels confident he wants to do that, because that would be amazing. But it's been a minute, so I don't know. Hey, I hope it happens." So the question becomes, given the report that came out earlier this week, with WWE sources reportedly optimistic that a bout between CM Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin could happen, but now Dave Meltzer's report saying those reports may be a bit premature. What are your feelings on this bout? Are you interested in seeing the dream match between CM Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin? If they're going to do it, do they have to do it this coming year at WrestleMania? Otherwise, it's never going to happen. Do you think it's just better to be left into the dreams and not actually in reality? Let me know about your thoughts about all of it in the comment section below. Really interested to know what you guys think about the possibility of CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, let's talk about MJF, because MJF is currently dealing with two significant injuries, a torn labrum and a dislocated hip, but the AEW World Champion reportedly plans to work through the pain. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, MJF won't be getting surgery to fix either injury, and will instead be undergoing stem cell therapy and rehab to get ready for his title defense against Samoa Joe at World's End at the end of the month on Long Island in New York. The 27-year-old reportedly opted against surgery, as going under the knife would put him on the shelf for a couple of months. It's presently unknown if MJF plans to work any more matches before his clash against Joe. Of course, this tag team match has been booked for this coming week's episode of Dynamite, but we'll get to that in just a second. But the Wrestling Observer newsletter has noted that MJF believes he can deliver, quote, careful matches or smoke and mirrors matches in the lead up to AEW's last pay-per-view of 2023. This may be how they get around doing the Samoa Joe and MJF tag team match against the Devil's Assailants next week on Dynamite. Now, of course, this injury isn't new to MJF, as he worked through a torn labrum at Double or Nothing, where he wrestled a critically acclaimed match against Jack Perry back in 2020. However, the tear he's dealing with is currently said to be worse than his previous one. MJF announced the news of his shoulder injury via X, informing fans of an MRI. He revealed he had suffered a torn labrum in his left shoulder. According to Dave Meltzer, MJF suffered the tear while on the receiving end of a top rope Uranagi from Jay White at Full Gear, aggravating his already injured shoulder in the process. As for the hip injury, MJF got hurt while delivering an elbow drop off the top rope to Jay White on the floor. The original intent was for White to be placed on the announce table rather than the floor, which would have broken MJF's fall, but the table collapsed prematurely. MJF dislocated his hip later in the match, and since then, Meltzer's sources say that the swelling on the hip has subsided, but he continues to deal with pain. So, does this give us an indication as to how this tag team match next week on Dynamite is going to play out with MJF and Samoa Joe versus the Devil's Minions? What are your thoughts about MJF and his physical woes at the moment? What do you think about AEW and the injury crisis that they have at the moment? Can they afford for MJF to go down with another injury? Let me know your thoughts about that as well. We spoke earlier today about the United States Championship #1 Contenders Tournament that was announced last night on SmackDown by Logan Paul. And a former NXT champion has teased himself as the mystery competitor for the tournament that was announced on SmackDown last night. The December 1st show saw Logan Paul return to SmackDown after defeating Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship at last month's Crown Jewel Premium Live event. During this segment, Paul announced that a tournament to determine his next challenger will begin next week. SmackDown superstars Kevin Owens, Bobby Lashley, Austin Theory, Grayson Waller, Santos Escobar, Dragon Lee, and Karrion Kross were announced for the tournament. It was also noted that a current NXT star will be announced for this US title #1 Contenders Tournament as well. Carmelo Hayes, as you can see on the screen, has now taken to social media to hint he could be the NXT star in question. The former NXT champion shared a photo of himself with John Cena's custom US Championship bout, which can be seen on the screen at the moment. While his tweet doesn't confirm WWE's plans, Hayes has received a lot of praise over the years from notable names, including Shawn Michaels. While he has wrestled several times on the main roster, most recently against Finn Balor on the June 26th edition of Raw, Hayes is yet to receive his official main roster call-up. So, could this be how Carmelo Hayes transitions into the main roster, or do we have to get the feud between himself and Trick Williams first? Let me know your prediction if Carmelo Hayes is going to be involved in this tournament. Now, speaking of SmackDown last night, saw the return of Randy Orton. He officially signed with SmackDown, and John Cena has reacted to the Vipers' comeback to the blue brand. Orton returned to the ring after 18 months away at Survivor Series, competing in the War Games main event. Following appearances on both Raw and SmackDown this week, Orton has now officially joined the SmackDown roster. Cena took to Twitter to comment on Orton's return, calling the Vipers' current run absolutely incredible. He tweeted, you can see it on the screen right there, absolutely incredible to see Randy Orton continue to excel after such a storied career. A massive pickup for SmackDown, and word to the wise, watch out for the RKO. Of course, John Cena and Randy Orton faced off numerous times and on numerous occasions in WWE, trading the world titles on several occasions. The duo most recently shared the ring in the 2018 Royal Rumble match, but last faced off in singles action on a February 2017 edition of SmackDown. Cena recently shared a throwback video of an OVW match he had with Orton ahead of his main roster WWE debut in 2002. Of course, another rival of John Cena's, CM Punk, also returned to WWE at Survivor Series, with John Cena recently reacting to that on Instagram as well. Finally, a bit of an update on Julia Hart. Some people were wondering, Julia Hart, she's the TBS champion, but she never had an All Elite graphic. Now, although she hasn't received said All Elite graphic, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select is reporting that Fightful have been told that Julia Hart is under a full-time contract with All Elite Wrestling. Now, Fightful have been told this was done quite a while back, but no announcement was made and it wasn't reported. After Hart winning the TBS title, Fightful asked why no graphic was given, and were just told there are numerous full-time talent that were increased from per-date deals that didn't end up getting official graphics. Hart has wrestled almost exclusively for All Elite Wrestling throughout her career, but especially since April 2021. She became a regular during the pandemic-era shows, regularly appearing on Dark and Dynamite before joining the Varsity Blondes. She would switch allegiances to the House of Black, who she has been managing ever since, before also getting over in a big singles capacity. Now, it should be noted that not all wrestlers who have appeared on AEW's roster page have been under full-time deals. This includes Chavo Guerrero Jr., Jake Atlas, among others. Peter Avalon is actually still on the roster page despite not being on a full-time contract either. So if you're looking for contract information from the roster page on AEW's website, probably not the best thing because sometimes, again, it doesn't really tell the full story. But when it pertains to Julia Hart, she is indeed signed to a full-time contract. She, like several other people, were on these tiered deals of people that primarily appeared on AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation, but then were bumped up to full-time deals, which of course she is now. As far as those people still on tier deals, they still do exist, but of course the shows AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation, they no longer exist after getting scrapped by AEW earlier this year as part of the deal to bring Collision to TNT. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.